don't read enough, and that's why you have us. Hey everybody, my name's Michael, and you're watching the 4 o'clock news. No, you're not. Don't be confused. This is the Epic Reads channel, and you're watching the February monthly book haul. I lied to you. I'm sorry. So how we start off these videos every month now, it's a new year, we have a new thing going, is we talk about the Epic Reads book club pick. Epic Reads now has a book club. It's on Facebook. You can click the link down below. And this month, we are reading a book that subverts tropes. And that book is, I can't drumroll and pick it up at the same time, so this isn't gonna be good, but Damsel by Alana K. Arnold. This is a really fantastic, dark book that definitely subverts the damsel in distress trope. It follows a princess who is awoken by a prince and they're meant to live their happily ever after, but that does not go to plan. And you absolutely need to read this to see what happens and to experience it, because wowza is my review for it. Wowza. Michael. So now I'm going to talk about some of the books we have coming out in the month of February. It's February 2020. That's weird, but that's a conversation for another time. The first book I am very excited about, and not just because I match it with my shirt today, and it is Yes, No, Maybe So by Becky Albertalli and Aisha Saeed. And wow, this is a new Becky Albertalli book, let alone a new Becky Albertalli book written with Aisha Saeed. And it follows two characters, one of which is very happy to volunteer for his state senate candidate, but he's like a very behind-the-scenes volunteer person. He tends to choke if it's sort of face-to-face conversations that he is partaking in. And then there's a girl who is not having the best Ramadan. Her summer trip got canceled, and they end up having to canvass door to door together. And at first, it's not the best scenario for the two of them, but as the polls get closer, so do they, and I love that line so much, I cannot take credit for it. And it's just a really, really fun, cute romance that has something to say. And the next book I have to show you guys today is pretty bloody awesome, and that is Deathless Divide by Justina Ireland. As you can see, blood. This is the sequel to the New York Times bestselling Dread Nation, and it follows Jane post the events of the first book. Summerland fell, some dangerous, deadly things went down, and she's with Catherine, and they're sort of trying to navigate the 1880s, but this alternate 1880s where the undead are restless and not so dead. And it's pretty hard to put everything behind you when you are trained to kill the undead, because that's what Jane is. And so they're trying to find their way to this protected town, and they're trying to have each other's backs. And this is just an epic, deadly, fantastic time of a tale. This next book is Red Hood, and this is actually from Alana K. Arnold, who's the author of Damsel, which I spoke about a couple minutes back, the magic of editing. It's been longer for me. And this tale follows a girl who, on the night of her homecoming, is stumbling through the woods and gets attacked by a wolf, and she fights back and manages to defeat and subdue the wolf. And the next day, she sort of realizes what she thought happened in the woods isn't exactly what really happened. And it's a tale that just totally subverts your expectations, and it's so dark and engrossing, and it talks about females and the ability to regain power in a society of toxic masculinity, and Alana K. Arnold is so mind-blowingly good. So this next book is Cloak of Night, which is the sequel to Circle of Shadows by Evelyn Skye, and it follows Sora and Damon, who, in the first book, they went through quite a bit. It's after the events of the ceremony of 200 Hearts, and so they're pretty much alone, minus a couple other people, because they lost a lot of people to prisoners of mind control, and they now have to save themselves and save everybody, and the magic that they've sort of learned and known of is more dangerous than they thought, and they have to figure out what they're truly capable of if they're gonna save anyone, and it's just an epic fantasy tale. So the next book I have is The Life Below, and I'm gonna let the light shimmer on it for a sec. And this is the sequel to The Final Six, which was about a competition to make it into a program to get to outer space, as Earth is sort of deteriorating in the book. And it follows Naomi as she heads to this program to outer space, but She is unaware of what happened to the last crew who tried to make this trip and what sort of lies ahead for her on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. And someone she left behind and who didn't make this competition is working to find out what is ahead for her and trying to make it back to her. And he learns of some dangerous things that she's going to encounter that she's unaware of, and he tries to make it to her to save her. And it is just a dangerous, high-stakes sci-fi tale that's so good, you guys. The next book I have here is Twisted Fates by Danielle Rollins, and this is the sequel to Stolen Time. And in that book, Dorothy escapes onto a ship to run from a wedding, and this ship happens to be a time-traveling ship that takes her to another time, the future, where the Earth is going through some dangerous, perilous times. And a lot of things happen in the course of the book, no spoilers, but it finds her and Ash sort of now separated, and Ash can't help himself but look for her everywhere he goes, but they could be in different times entirely, and they're on very different paths that are fated to intersect, and it's just romantic and mind-bending, and it's a really, really awesome time travel story. And then we have the new David Espinosa by Fred Aceves, and this is a really interesting tale. It follows a guy who, there's a video of him getting knocked out that goes viral and people see on the internet, and it makes him just really self-conscious and feel like he needs to bulk up and become a stronger, different person. And so he joins this gym and he sort of becomes obsessed with the gym and gets really entrenched in that being his life, in his progress not being fast enough, and him having to work harder to be this person he thinks he has to be, the stronger, better person, and to see himself how everyone has made him feel like he needs to see himself. And he sort of neglects everything else in his life, and it comes down to what is the cost of getting this perfect body? Is it worth it? And it tackles a lot of heavy questions, and it's just such a different and really intriguing tale. And then we have Honor Lost, the final book in the Honor saga, and this is the third book in an epic space trilogy about a group of people who end up getting sent on this mission into space, and they really don't know what's ahead for them, and their sentient spaceships and dangers at every turn. People are hurt. Lots has happened in this series, and in this final book, Zara and her team find themselves facing off against not only human enemies, but the Life Killer, which is sort of an all-consuming, dangerous entity that can destroy planets entirely. And again, just the most epic sci-fi series. And then I have The Upside of Falling by Alex Light, and this book was originally published on Wattpad, and this follows Becca, whose best friend is teasing her for not being in a relationship and not having anyone. And so she lies about having a boyfriend. And Brett, who's just a really cool kid, he's really good at football, has always been more focused on his future than dating, and he overhears this lie, and they then pretend to be in a relationship. So it is a fake dating romance, and it's just super cute, and the two of them, the more time they spend with each other, they more realize that this might be the realest thing that they've ever faked. So just fake dating romance, so cute. And then finally, I have a few books from other publishers to talk about this month, the first of which is The Midnight Lie from Maria Rutkowski. She's the author of the Winners Trilogy, and this is a romantic fantasy that follows a girl who lives in a tiered society of power, and she's out to get magic for herself, and it sounds like a really dangerous, fun fantasy. The King of Crows by Libba Bray, the fourth and final book in the Diviner series, and I have not yet picked up the Diviner series, but I've heard fantastic things about it, and now that I am holding this hefty final book, I am ready to dive in. This is set in the 1920s, and it's a sort of supernatural tale with evil people, and follows characters with just really interesting abilities in these dark things that are happening around them. And I clearly have not yet read these books, but that sounds amazing and I'm ready to dive in. So thank you all so much for watching. That was the February 2020 Epic Reads book haul. I will see you guys next month. Comment down below with what you're most excited to read in February. And yep, that's all she wrote. I'm gonna go.